As we age, finding ways to maintain independence while ensuring our physical, emotional, and financial well-being becomes paramount. For many seniors, the question arises, how can we continue to live our lives with dignity and joy without draining our savings or relying too heavily on others? The journey of aging doesn't have to be a financial burden or an emotional strain, and the stories shared in this video provide real-life examples of how seniors have creatively found affordable ways to maintain their quality of life. In today's video, we will dive into two remarkable stories that show how a blend of family relationships, community support, and adapting to new lifestyles can offer solutions for seniors to age with grace and happiness. From self-sufficiency to social bonds, these stories provide valuable insights into how we can approach our own aging process in a way that promotes health, vitality, and most importantly, happiness, all without breaking the bank. Grandpa's Journey, a blend of independence and community support. The challenge of expensive care options meet. Grandpa, a 75-year-old who has had first-hand experience with both nursing homes and hiring caregivers. Both options can be expensive and may not always be the ideal fit, especially for seniors living on limited pensions. Grandpa's story is a testament to the challenges many seniors face when navigating the world of aging, and how important it is to find solutions that align with both personal preferences and financial limitations. Grandpa lost his wife over 5 years ago, and after her passing, he initially hired a caregiver to assist him. His children, concerned about his ability to cook and take care of himself, agreed to cover the cost of a caregiver for him. The caregiver, a 40-year-old woman from a rural area, was hired at a rate of 5,500 yuan per month, which included food and lodging. However, Grandpa soon realized that this solution wasn't working for him. Despite the caregiver's presence, the quality of care was lacking. She spent much of her time on her phone or watching TV, and the meals she prepared were not to his liking. In fact, the food was inedible, which only added to his frustration. Grandpa found that he was taking care of her more than she was taking care of him. At this point, he decided to let her go. The nursing home experience. A dreaded option. As his children continued to worry about him living alone, they suggested placing Grandpa in a nursing home. Though modern nursing homes offer decent services, they come with strict rules and can feel stifling, especially for someone who values their independence. Grandpa recalls his short stay in a nursing home as a time when he felt controlled by the rigid regulations, such as having to register every time he entered or left, and he was surrounded by the sadness of elderly people passing away. It was a depressing environment, and after less than a month, Grandpa decided to leave. His view is clear: if a person can take care of themselves, they shouldn't be forced into a nursing home, especially if they value their freedom. Grandpa made the difficult decision to return to his own home, rejecting the conventional solutions offered by his children. Instead, he took matters into his own hands. The turning point. Embracing self-sufficiency. Grandpa's determination to stay independent led him to a life-changing realization. As long as he could take care of himself, there was no reason he needed to move into a nursing home. After much thought, Grandpa decided to try cooking for himself. Not an expert in the kitchen, he began learning to cook, and gradually he became proficient at preparing meals. From stir-frying vegetables to making steamed buns, Grandpa enjoyed his newfound culinary skills and found satisfaction in being able to care for himself. To stay active and healthy, Grandpa also took up Tai Chi. Every morning, he joined a group of elderly individuals in his neighborhood to practice Tai Chi in the square. The exercise not only helped him maintain physical strength but also allowed him to bond with others in his community. Building a community for support. Despite his desire to live independently, Grandpa realized that aging without the support of family could be challenging. So he and other like-minded seniors decided to form a community group. This group, made up of elderly individuals who, like him, lived alone, or didn't have nearby family, quickly became a support system for everyone involved. They met regularly, checked in on each other, and provided assistance when needed. The group eventually expanded to include nearly 20 members, all committed to helping each other navigate the challenges of aging. The benefits of this group extended beyond just practical help. If someone was sick and needed assistance, members would help by making soup or accompanying them to medical appointments. They even set up a system where they compensated one another for their time. If Grandpa needed help with something, he could pay someone a small amount, and vice versa. This system allowed them to continue supporting each other while keeping the costs far lower than hiring a caregiver or living in a nursing home. A successful solution for seniors. This community-driven approach proved to be a successful solution for many elderly people who wanted to avoid the isolation of nursing homes but couldn't afford full-time caregivers. Grandpa's group thrived not only because of the practical help but also due to the emotional support they provided. They organized outings, such as walking in the park, and maintained a strong sense of camaraderie. For Grandpa, this group became more than just a safety net. It became a space for social connection, personal growth, and self-sufficiency. By pooling resources, offering mutual assistance, and maintaining a deep sense of solidarity, Grandpa and his peers found a way to live independently while still feeling cared for and connected to their community. This model of self-care, empowerment, and mutual support has resonated with many seniors in similar situations. With a bit of creativity and the willingness to embrace new ways of living, Grandpa and his group of elderly friends demonstrated that it's possible to age with dignity and happiness without relying on expensive care options or sacrificing independence. Grandpa Lee's story: Finding Peace in Self-Reliance. Living alone on my terms. Grandpa Lee, a 65-year-old man from a different part of the country, shares a similar story of independence and self-reliance. While many seniors choose to move in with their children or go to a senior home after retirement, Grandpa Lee found peace in living alone. After his wife's passing over 2 years ago, Grandpa Lee chose to live by his own rules. His children, though considerate and supportive, had suggested that he move in with them or consider a senior home. However, Grandpa Lee had no interest in either of these options. "I enjoy my peace and quiet," he says. "I value my own company, and I don't want to feel like a burden on anyone." Grandpa Lee's choice to live independently is not a sign of stubbornness, but rather a reflection of his desire for autonomy and peace. He enjoys writing, reading, and taking care of his plants. Occasionally, he meets with friends from his neighborhood for tea and conversation. His lifestyle, he believes, is exactly what he needs at this stage of life. The challenge of aging. Alone. Despite his desire for solitude, Grandpa Lee's children worry about his safety and well-being. They're just a 30-minute drive away, and they visit him regularly. Still, they are concerned about him being alone. Their suggestions to have him move in with them or move into a senior home stem from love and concern. But Grandpa Lee remains firm in his decision. He doesn't want to be a burden, and he doesn't want to disrupt his children's lives. He also believes that the idea of a senior home is impractical for someone like him. "I can cook my own meals, wash my clothes, and take care of myself," he says. "I don't need to go somewhere where I have to follow rules or be told what to do." A balanced life and peaceful aging for Grandpa Lee, peace of mind comes from knowing that he can live independently without imposing on his children. He doesn't want to be part of a system where his autonomy is compromised, and he certainly doesn't want to depend on others for daily activities. Instead, Grandpa Lee continues to live comfortably in his own home, content with his peaceful routine. He may not be the typical image of a senior citizen, but he's living life on his own terms. No more, no less. The journey of aging, finding creative and affordable elderly care. As we grow older, one of the most pressing concerns we often face is how to maintain our independence, dignity and quality of life without overwhelming our finances or becoming a burden on our families. For many seniors, this is a difficult and delicate balance to strike. While nursing homes and full-time caregivers may seem like the only options, these services can quickly become financially draining and may not always offer the kind of care and independence many seniors desire. In this video, we will share 3 real-life stories of seniors who found creative and affordable ways to age with dignity, happiness, and a sense of self-reliance. These stories highlight the importance of family, community support, and adapting to new lifestyles as we age. Grandpa's Experience, a blend of independence and new-age elderly assistance. The dilemma of traditional elderly care. Meet Grandpa, a 75-year-old man who has faced the challenges of aging and the limitations of traditional elderly care. After losing his wife 5 years ago, Grandpa was forced to reassess his living situation. Initially, he hired a caregiver, thinking it would be a good solution for his daily needs. His children, concerned about his ability to cook and take care of himself, decided to pay for a caregiver to help him. However, the reality of caregiving was not as pleasant as he had hoped. The caregiver, while seemingly friendly and honest, spent most of her time on her phone, watching TV, and preparing meals that Grandpa couldn't even eat. The cost of this caregiver, which was around 5,500 yen per month, felt like an unnecessary expense, especially since the service didn't provide the level of care Grandpa expected. He found himself spending more time taking care of her than she did of him. Eventually, Grandpa decided to end the arrangement and explored other alternatives. The nursing home option, a depressing reality. After quitting the caregiver, Grandpa's children suggested that he move to a nursing home, thinking that it would offer a solution to his growing concerns. Although many modern nursing homes provide decent care, Grandpa was hesitant. He valued his independence, and the rigid rules of nursing homes, such as having to check in and out every time, felt confining. Additionally, the presence of illness and death around him made the atmosphere depressing and difficult to bear. Grandpa couldn't stand the thought of spending his remaining years in such an environment, so he left the nursing home within a month and went back to living alone. For Grandpa, independence was paramount, and as long as he could manage on his own, he didn't see the need for institutional care. He knew he could live a better quality of life in his own home, as long as he found a more suitable form of support. Discovering the new model of elderly assistance, Grandpa's children, though still worried about him, suggested an innovative solution: elderly assistance. The concept of elderly assistance piqued Grandpa's interest, and he became eager to learn more. His daughter explained that this service involved installing cameras in Grandpa's home that were linked to family members' mobile phones, so they could monitor his well-being. This technology allowed his children to check in on him without intrusive visits. Moreover, the elderly assistant would bring him lunch and dinner daily and even assist with laundry every 2 days. What intrigued Grandpa even more was that he could request additional services as needed, and if he wasn't satisfied with the assigned staff, he could request a change. This flexibility and personal attention made the elderly assistance model feel much more comfortable to Grandpa than a nursing home or live-in caregiver. But naturally, he had concerns about the cost. When Grandpa learned that this service would cost only 2,500 yuan per month, with his children covering the expenses, he felt more at ease. This affordable option allowed Grandpa to maintain his independence while receiving the necessary support. He agreed to the arrangement, and it turned out to be a huge relief for him. A new lease on life, enjoying peace and independence. Thanks to this new approach to elderly care, Grandpa regained a sense of peace and independence that he hadn't experienced in years. He was able to cook his own meals, manage his household, and stay active by practicing Tai Chi in the mornings. The elderly assistant service allowed him to enjoy his golden years without worrying about the practical aspects of living alone. It gave him the time and space he needed to live on his terms, while still having the safety net of support when required. Grandpa's experience shows that with the right kind of help, it's possible to age gracefully and affordably while maintaining a high quality of life. Aunt Lou's journey: the power of independence and seeking support when needed. The struggles of widowhood. Aunt Lou, who turned 67 this year, shares a similar journey of aging with dignity. After a long and fulfilling career as a supervisor at a state-owned garment factory, Aunt Lou found herself facing the challenges of aging and loneliness after the sudden passing of her husband at the age of 68. The loss of her husband was a devastating blow, and she spent a long time grieving, feeling the weight of isolation in her home. Her children, understanding her emotional distress, offered their homes as a place for her to stay, but Aunt Lou was reluctant. She had spent much of her life caring for her children, and now she didn't want to become a burden. Aunt Lou's daughter lived far away, and though she wanted to help, the distance made it difficult. Aunt Lou's son lived in the same city, so she decided to spend some time at his home. However, her time there was short-lived. Aunt Lou had always been independent, and her time at her son's house made her realize that living with family might not be the solution she had hoped for. Tensions at home. The reality of living with family. Aunt Lou quickly realized that staying at her son's house came with its own set of challenges. Her daughter-in-law, who was caring for their 2 young children, resented Aunt Lou's presence. There was tension in the air, and Aunt Lou found herself doing household chores, such as cooking and cleaning, even though she had hoped to be cared for. The atmosphere at home was uncomfortable, and Aunt Lou began to feel like she was imposing on her family. Her daughter-in-law's attitude only added to the strain. She would criticize Aunt Lou's cooking, and there was a constant underlying feeling of disrespect. Aunt Lou's relationship with her son and daughter-in-law, which had once been warm and loving, began to feel strained. After just 2 weeks, Aunt Lou made the decision to return to her own home. It was clear that relying on her son for elderly care wasn't going to work, and she couldn't expect her daughter-in-law to provide the level of care and respect she needed. Learning to live independently again. Back in her hometown, Aunt Lou took a step back and reassessed her situation. After years of caring for others, she realized that she was capable of taking care of herself. She didn't want to rely on her children any longer, nor did she want to move into a senior home. Instead, Aunt Lou decided to take charge of her own life once again. She enjoyed a sense of peace and autonomy in her own home, but she also knew that she needed companionship. Meeting Lou. A new beginning. Aunt Lou's neighbors suggested that she consider dating again. After some encouragement, she agreed to meet Lou, a widowed man who lived nearby. Lou was a few years older than Aunt Lou, and they quickly formed a connection. They spent their days walking through the morning market, chatting, and enjoying each other's company. For a time, Aunt Lou felt like she had found a new chapter in her life. However, after moving in with Lou for a while, Aunt Lou began to notice that the reality of living together wasn't as easy as it seemed. Lou's behavior, particularly his tendency to leave everything messy and his unwillingness to contribute to household chores, started to irritate Aunt Lou. Despite their initial agreement to share responsibilities, Lou didn't follow through, and this led to constant friction between them. Aunt Lou also found that Lou had made promises he didn't keep, such as contributing his pension to the household expenses. When Aunt Lou asked about it, Lou dismissed her concerns, claiming that he had already covered the expenses. This sense of inequality and lack of mutual respect eventually led Aunt Lou to leave Lou's home and return to her own. Returning to independence. After her experience with Lou, Aunt Lou realized that living with someone else, whether a family member or a partner, might not be the best solution for her. She valued her independence and had come to understand that she could live happily on her own. With her pension and her own home, Aunt Lou felt secure in her ability to maintain a fulfilling life without relying on anyone else. Aunt Lou's story highlights the importance of understanding one's own needs as we age. While companionship is important, it's equally important to ensure that the arrangements we make for ourselves align with our values and desires. Aunt Lou found peace in knowing that she could live independently, and she made the decision to embrace this independence fully. Conclusion: Aging with Dignity and Happiness. These two stories of Grandpa and Aunt Lou illustrate the power of self-reliance and creative, affordable solutions to aging. Both seniors faced challenges as they aged, but they found ways to navigate those challenges without sacrificing their dignity or financial stability. Whether it's through embracing modern elderly assistance services, forming supportive communities, or choosing independent living arrangements, seniors can thrive without relying on traditional caregiving options that may be financially burdensome. For anyone facing the challenges of aging, these stories offer hope and inspiration. Aging doesn't have to be a time of dependence or isolation. With the right mindset and the right support, seniors can continue to live fulfilling, independent lives filled with dignity, joy, and connection. If you found these stories inspiring and motivating to take action, please comment 9 below to let us know. Thank you for your valuable time, and remember that aging gracefully and happily is possible for all of us, no matter our age.